talking with the Henry Gaffney of Chicago, Mr. Darrell Jefferson, who is president of Local Union 241, the Amalgamated Transit Union. Good morning, Mr. Jefferson.
Good morning. Glad to be here.
It's good to talk with you. You've been traveling the country. You are here at this conference. You've been working with this organization. Why would you be interested in the mission of Rainbow Push?
Well, Rainbow Push have a tradition of helping people who really can't help themselves or don't know how to help themselves. And that's been real motivation for us in Chicago.
What percentage of the population rides public transportation?
I would say around about 50–60%.
That's about the same. That's pretty consistent, I think, isn't it?
Yes, throughout the country.
Throughout the country. When you mentioned to us that some of the public housing projects have been demolished, and so people are scattered. Do those people have access? Because when your funds are limited, and sometimes when you scatter, you can end up in places that deny you access to the main thoroughfares.
Right, and I think what's happening is a lot of, since we did the recent bus cuts in February, the service hasn't been there on a consistent basis. And the manpower hasn't been there because of the layoffs. And these people are hurting a little bit, mostly in the impoverished neighborhoods, those that are, they're not professionals or, they're unskilled labor or whatever. Those people are hurting the most. The people on the north side are hurting the most.
What percentage of your workers have been laid off?
18%.
18%. Now, what's the norm? I know for you, if you had none, that would be wonderful. But 18, is that normal? Is it above normal? What is it?
That, for us, that's above normal. The way we looked at it was we were being targeted because we were the biggest union and because we were the ones screaming the loudest about not taking opening the contract or taking any cuts.
How have the other unions been impacted?
They've lost a minimum amount of people, but because of their numbers, that may be significant for them. Everyone is impacted when a bus isn't coming down the street because a lot of them use the bus to get to work.
You know, we have had, and I know you know too well, what happens in Detroit as well as some of the other major cities in this country. Have there been any unfortunate tragedies as a result of the buses not being there?
None that have been reported, but I'm quite sure it has been, especially late at night. For a while here in the city of Chicago, there was a lot of random shootings at bus stops late at night. And a lot of that was because the bus wasn't coming. And people didn't know the schedules of the bus. They didn't know if they missed the last bus or whether it's still there. Still at night now, on a nice night, you'll see crowds of people walking down the street from the train station because the bus isn't coming.
I was getting ready to ask you, what happens? I mean, people who use buses generally use buses because they have no other mode of transportation. And if the buses aren't there, what's the option for them in a city like Chicago?
Mainly to walk or change the schedule at work, school, whatever the case may be. A lot of in the areas that are really affected, a lot of these people can't afford to take a taxi. And, so they resort to walking, or they could get a friend or family member to pick them up from the train station. That's what they do.
You know, there are people who've never been a part of organized labor and who are totally insensitive to your plight. They say, well, you know what, those guys make a lot of money, they get all these benefits, so what? Everybody else is suffering. What do you say to that citizen out there?
If you work at a job that doesn't have a union, you need to get one, because you're never going to get a decent living wage or the benefits that you and your family need to support yourselves until you have someone representing you. A company is not going to give that to you. I mean, it exemplifies itself every day. You look all over the country in non-union workplaces, and those people are struggling. Those people have attitude for people in unions because they don't have what we have. And if you want what we have, you have to come to us. We're willing to represent you.
Is America becoming more or less anti-labor? Do you see a shift in this country?
I believe it's more anti-labor, but it's going anti-labor for the wrong reasons because people are buying into the concepts that unions destroy workplaces, unions are the reason companies move, unions are the reason, that people, get laid off, and none of that is true. If a company wants to keep you, they will. If a company wants to stay in the United States, they will. A lot of our companies have moved out of the country because they get better deals in foreign countries, and the labor is so much cheaper. The unions are just now articulating to these places to organize.
How does organized labor turn this around? We had Newt Gingrich in Michigan week before last encouraging policymakers to turn Michigan into a right to work state.
Yeah, that movement is going on throughout the country. Organized labor has to come within itself. We have to lay our egos down at the door and get committed to a plan to do what unions were invented to do, help the working men and women of this country earn a decent wage. And that's the whole purpose of the union. It's not to be a big I or a little U. It's not to have more members in the next union. It's about helping these men and women earn a decent wage, and we have forgotten that concept.
There was a time in this country, non-union America saw unions as fighters. Certain things they weren't going to tolerate. Certain things had to happen. They wanted equity. If they wanted this, they wanted that. And in the minds of some people, the fight is gone.
Yes, it's turned into more political, a status barrier thing, and we have to get back to the fight, because the fight has been going on while we're sitting back and glorifying what we have done, and we're not doing anything present. So we need to get off our cans and get busy with bringing that fight back to life.
It's possible.
I think it's possible. Anything's possible as long as God's in charge.
It's going to take a long time?
It shouldn't, but until we get the egos rested at the door, it will.
Have you taken a moment to look at what's happening with those workers down in Louisiana as a result of the oil spill?
Yes, and it's a tragic situation in Louisiana, and wish we could go down there and help them out, but we're kind of limited in what we do.
If Mr. Ancolade and the other people in his industry who are saying today that BP are bringing workers in, not offering the locals jobs and opportunities so that they can feed their families. I was told this morning that 98% of the people in one area who work in the fishing industry and the boating industry are without jobs and compensation now. On the internet and other places, BP is soliciting people to come down to the Gulf Coast. And I was in Mississippi, and they were saying $13.50 an hour, which was great money. And in Detroit, I was shown a website the other day where people were being offered $19.50 to $21.50 an hour to come down. If you were talking to those natives, or they knocked on your door, called you and said, "Can you advise us? What do we do here? Our people are suffering, and they're bringing these people in." What would you say to them?
I would ask them to mobilize themselves and demand those jobs. Those are their jobs, first and foremost, because they're our residents of that community. The money is going to be lost when those people earn that money and take it back to where they live. So the economy in Louisiana is going to lose out. And you need that money to circulate in your economy where you live, so that you can have a better chance of living the style of living.
That's something people tend to forget, don't they? That those people come in and get the money, but that money is not going to circulate in those communities and those towns.
Right, it's going to move.
Well, Mr. Darrell Jefferson, thank you. What do you want me to tell Henry Gaffney?
Tell Henry congratulations on being reelected, and he didn't invite me to the victory party.
He didn't invite me either. Thank you.